All right, so today is going to be essentially the squat and hinge, like lower body analog to our conversation on last week, and then we'll wrap it up all together in terms of like putting it together with a full plan and carrying what you've learned forward next week. So kind of bear with me a little bit because the pieces will really all come together for next week. But today is going to be specifically focused on using some specific assessment results to choose some strategies for making squatting and hinging more comfortable for your body, more effective for your body, and then also using that information to choose what's called a higher level, what I call a higher level breathing, positional breathing activity. So instead of, if you feel really comfortable with the lower level breathing strategy we've done already, whichever one you're doing, the rock back or the 90-90, and you're ready to sort of progress that to a higher level breathing strategy. These are much more active. They're actually like a lot more physically hard to do, but they don't involve laying down in most cases either. So I find that they're really good to apply potentially before you run in place of that like bear to down dog as well. So I just have a quick presentation. I mean, it's really just all summed up on the sheet anyway, but I'll just talk through it and then we will go through that. So share my screen. And my son is doing his virtual school field day in the other room. So hopefully it doesn't involve anything too loud. Okay, so in many cases, especially if you don't have a significant limitation in internal or external rotation, like me, I have a significant limitation in internal rotation, so I need to push that a lot more. But if you don't, especially, variety is best, but some variations better support the needs of your body and or provide you tools and positions to execute them more efficiently or effectively. So for example, like we've been using the tool of squeezing a block between your knees in a squat to help you through that mid-range, to get you internal rotation. We've been using tools like heel elevated, wedging your feet. Those are different things that we can kind of use and to make the exercises more effective. And then here's sort of like the why behind, we're kind of circling back to the beginning weeks to the assessments. So if we look at ISA and your toe touch to squat from week 1, and then your ER and IR from week 6, we can get a really good picture of like what your body needs. So this table is broken up into like narrow versus wide. I know all of us are narrow to one degree or another, so we're kind of hanging out on the left side of this. And then we break the narrows up into like 2 categories. The narrow with a full toe touch and full toe touch to squat really only needs to work on internal rotation and adduction. So bringing in more towards the middle, loading type activities. And then with the pelvic floor, in that case, needs is concentric contraction. When I say pelvic floor needs here, I'm talking about the front pelvic floor, the anterior pelvic floor. The back of the pelvic floor tends to need the opposite. So a narrow with a like full toe touch to squat typically might have a really actually tight pelvic floor in the back side from existing more in that external rotation. What the exercise that particular person may struggle with the most is a hinge. Hinge requires internal rotation at the pelvis, and these people really struggle with that. Now, a narrow that is limited in their toe touch to squat typically will have a loss of ER and IR to some degree, and will need orientation first. So that's either moving the pelvis under, doing something like a 90-90 if that's what your body needed, or getting your body back over your torso back onto your pelvis orientation that way, and something like a rock back, that will be needed first before really going after a deduction and internal rotation in terms of a breathing strategy. And then our goal with these people is always, or with you, if you fall into this category, is going to be sort of to like get you back onto your heels. You tend to be sort of like falling forward a little bit, and constantly like living more on your toes, tight calves all the time. And we'll struggle really with a squat and a hinge. The struggle with the squat for people in this category will be that like it'll be tend to be more of a hingy squat, and that's where we elevate our heels. Although anyone in all of these categories, for one reason or another, may benefit from elevating their heels, whether it's lack of dorsiflexion in the ankles or just people with long legs. Just the shape of your body in that specific thing. That's why I need to elevate my heels and struggle with the toe touch to squat. It's not really about my orientation or internal rotation. It's just that I have freakishly long legs for the rest of my body. And that's another factor in all of this too. And then I won't dive into all the wide stuff because we don't really have any in here, but it's sort of like all the opposite that is needed. People who are wide tend to, especially like just a traditional wide without having a whole lot of layers of compensations on top of it, will hinge so beautifully that it's frustrating. And like pick up like big heavy weight off the floor and have no problems with it, whereas narrows are going to struggle and compensate, and usually compensate with your low back and all of that kind of stuff. So orientation, like I said, refers to the stack. That's where positional breathing has really come in so far. We haven't used positional breathing to really tackle the ER and IR as much, but that's sort of where this hinge and squat part comes in. So breaking this down into like squat selection and hinge selection, a narrow with like full toe touch to squat is going to need to really focus on staying in that mid range of the squat, squeezing the block, elevating the rear foot in the split squat. Everybody else besides a narrow with a full toe touch to squat is going to benefit more from a front foot elevated split squat. But elevating rear foot in the split squat, or contralateral loading, so holding the weight in the opposite hand of your stance leg whenever you're doing single leg or split stance type activities. So, and then for hinge, elevating the toes on a wedge and squeezing a block. So those are your strategies for like a narrow with a full toe touch to squat. Really just needs to get into more internal rotation, and these are the ways of doing that. A narrow that needs a little bit of external rotation as well and needs a little bit of orientation as well is probably going to have a little bit of a loss of external rotation and a limited toe touch to squat. So in that case, you want to also live in that mid-range of squat because you need that internal rotation, but you could also benefit from going from like mid to low range. And these suck and I hate them, but they're so good for like the needs of my body, like staying in mid range, inhaling, lowering to low range, exhaling, going back only to mid range. And then I think I did an Instagram post about this last week. I called them like pelvic floor squats, because at the bottom of the squat, you relax the pelvic floor. In the mid range of the squat, you contract the pelvic floor, and squeezing a block for those as well. Front foot elevated split squat. So some people, and this goes way over my head in most cases, talk about these categories as being existing in different phases of gait. So, and the first category, narrow, is sort of they're in heel strike, their body is almost behind their legs all the time. Everybody else is falling forward in a certain sense. So more in toe off, and we need to get them back towards the middle. Everybody, just trying to get everybody into the middle, into a solid stance, grounded into the ground. So front foot elevated split squat. If you have your front foot up on something, it's sort of like pushing you back a little bit. That's one way of thinking about it, and that's how we would do a split squat for a narrow that needs a little bit more of both. And then these people tend to also just be like locked up a little bit in the back of the pelvis. So breaking hinges down into using a single leg for a little bit, just allowing a little bit more movement. Wall reference, so putting a foot back on the wall for hinging, toes elevated, and then adding in rotation. So we've done the specific exercise I'm talking about a couple of times in a couple of different workouts, but where you take a foam roller and you put it between your legs and you hinge down and you touch your toe into internal rotation and then open up into external rotation, like getting full range of motion in rotation there. And like I said, we don't really need to like go really into the wide stuff, but they tend to need the opposite. You need to get more external rotation, wide squat, instead of squeezing a block, band around the knee. They're going to kill at deadlifts. They're not going to need any strategies for that in most cases. But okay. And then, so what I wanted to do, and then if you're watching the replay, you can go ahead and post these in the group. So I want to know what's your ISA, your overhead, your applies, your toe touch to squat, and then your ER and IR. And if you're on, if you're posting this in the group, you can just say what all of them are, and then post a video of you doing the ER and IR, and you don't need to do the videos of all of them. Just to let me know if you're limited or full on the main 4 in the middle, if you're wide or narrow, and then post a video of your ER and IR. If you're live, we can go through this like all together. So I know, Deanna, you're busy. Sarah, you're eating, but if you want to go through this and try and pick your,
I'll go put you on my computer here in a second, and then
okay,
we could do it.
I'm ready.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what's your things?
I
should know most of them. You're narrow, limited, overhead, full applies, right?
Yes. Toe touch is full and full.
Toe touch to squat. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm just limited in an internal rotation,
right.
But
yeah, I think you're in that first category of narrow. So what I would say for you, so you are in that like first column here, right? And then for getting, so rear foot elevated, split squats, those were like the ones we did in weeks. What weeks did we do them? 5 through 8 in the, I don't know where you are in the cycle.
Yeah.
But I also posted a really good, I also posted a really good thing in the Facebook group.
Oh, okay.
Of one of my friends queuing rear foot elevated split squat.
Okay.
I'll tag you in it.
Okay.
But that would be your go-to, when you're squatting, squeeze a block. Do not rush through mid-range. Like really make sure you slow down through, because your tendency will be to just drop quickly through mid-range to the bottom.
Yeah.
Skip over it. So go really slow instead of skipping over mid-range. Even do it ones where you go down and come halfway up and come back down before going all the way up. So you're spending more time in that mid-range of your
Okay.
squat. And then whenever you're doing something, single leg or split squat, and you're holding a weight, do it in the opposite hand of that front leg.
Okay.
And then with hinging, squeezing a block will be helpful. Elevating your toes. Have you tried elevating your toes at all?
I feel like I always elevate my heels so that it's more stacked.
For a squat. For a
Oh,
hinge, you elevate your toes. So
I
it's the same, but it's not the whole foot. So I'll show you this. If
okay.
you go to my video of me doing a goblet squat, not a goblet squat, where are my things? Of me doing the hinge from like the first couple of weeks, I elevate my toes just like this. So
Oh,
it's forcing the toes up so the mechs are grounded. So it's just the toes, not like, you know, if you're doing a heel elevate squat, it's like the whole foot.
right.
But for a hinge, to elevate the toes, do just the toes so that like the pad of the foot, the forefoot can really ground in. And if you don't even have to use a whole, I usually have socks in there, but I wash them all when we travel. You could even just take like a rolled up sock
Okay.
and put it underneath those toes, because really
Yeah.
grounding into the floor
Okay.
with the forefoot is going to be important for helping you like get internal rotation. So squeezing the block, grounding into the forefoot, and hinging back. So yeah, hinging is going to be your nemesis.
Yeah. In the sense that it will cause pain or that it will be hard for me to do with proper form.
It'll be hard for you to do with proper form and to get like a lot of range in it. So just another thing to be careful with hinging is to make sure you stay in the range that you own. So that meaning like, I don't have a lot of range in my hinge either, but like knowing when, so my hips are going back, they're going back, they're going back. If I go any further, my hips don't go back anymore. I'm moving through like here.
Yeah.
That's I'm no longer hinging. So just stay in the range that you own, and eventually if you're doing all of the other pieces, you'll gain more range, but that's how you overuse your low back. And maybe it doesn't hurt per se that time, but over time,
Over time.
injuries and that kind of thing.
Okay.
And then we'll pause on higher level breathing strategy for just a second, because I want to talk about the why behind that, but that's your hinging and squatting.
Okay.
All right, Deanna, how about you? I feel like I know some of them, but
Well, and then I'm like, I don't know over time if if it's like 100% accurate. like I didn't know what I was doing. So wait, what do you want? What do you want?
are you narrow or wide?
I think
you're narrow.
we said narrow.
And then your overhead and athletes. That one is not as important for this, but when we get to the breathing strategy, it will be so.
Right, exactly. So full overhead reach. I said full in athletes, but the left was less than right. But now I don't know if that's necessarily accurate because
is your shoulder roll forward to make it happen?
I don't know. Can you see? Do you want like full back like this?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, you're not especially limited, but I think it's not like completely full either.
Right. So that's probably like kind of in the middle.
Right. And that's the way
I said full toe touch too, but that might be more limited than I think it is. In that like I can touch my toes, but it's like where's the what's the tension?
Yeah.
Or
well, if you can touch your toes, but you can't squat from all the way down from there. No, okay. So that's really what I'm like, toe touch to squat. And then what was your ER and IR? You're pretty good on the right, but missing internal rotation on the left. Was that right? correct?
Oh, that's the one where we were like down. On the ground like this?
Yeah, yeah, you think you're limited
But
in
the left was worse than the right for external
Oh,
rotation.
I have it written down for you, that specific thing. I need to do better with organizing my notes.
And I think internal rotation for both of them was limited.
Yeah, yeah. So you had IR limited on both, but you're also slightly limited in ER on the left. Okay. Okay, what I would suggest for you in terms of strategies, we'll do breathing strategy in a minute, but in terms of just like helpful ways to get the most out of your hinging and squatting is to stay in the second column here. So those strategies there. So squeezing a block, practicing that low to mid-range squat. So what that means, I posted it on Instagram, I think last week, but where you squat down like low and then mid and then go back to low and staying here and then squeezing the block. That would be a good one for you. And then front foot elevated in a split squat. So we did these as accessory work. I'm probably that's where I'm going with you for potentially for a higher level breathing strategy. But we did them where you have your front foot up, elevated, and then you split squat from there. I'll get my thing to show in a minute. But that would be a really good anytime you're doing like single leg activities, getting sort of back into like mid stance on that leg. So in a rear foot elevated split squat, like I'm talking about Sarah, at the bottom of that squat, your knee's going to be past your toes and you're going to be like in dorsiflexion. But we need to get you actually back a little bit. So I want you to be in a front foot elevated split squat so that when you come down, you're like sitting nicely right on top of that foot. And we'll practice, I'll show you what I mean for a breathing strategy in a minute. And then hinges, single leg hinges will probably be better for you instead of doing like 2-leg deadlifts or that kind of thing, focusing more on single leg stuff with a wall reference. So we did some of these in our exercises too. You put your foot back on a wall and then pull up on that wall to hinge forward. That will really help you get into that hinge position. And then that one where take the foam roller between your legs and you kind of like hinge down, so into internal rotation and then open up into external rotation. That will be a really good one for you too. So these are things you can build in, something like that, something you can build into your accessory work or your warm-ups or something like that. And then the other strategies you can build into your exercises to help you get more out of. So if you're deadlifting and you want to, we talked about this last week, if you want to do, bar deadlifts, and you might need to elevate your toes just a little bit to like get that range and that kind of thing. Okay, so then we can transition to talking about doing this for, so these are ways you can apply it to things like your workouts, your movement in general. But we can also take an isometric version of a squat or a hinge selection and use that as a progression of your breathing strategy. So for you, Deanna, what I would suggest is doing something like the front foot elevated split squat. Hold on, I'm gonna get my thing. For you and anyone who's sort of in that same category, as your breathing strategy, elevating that front foot and then coming down into making sure your hips shifting into that hip, and then breathing here. So this is sort of your, actually you were athlete, so yeah, you would want a neutral reach and breathing here, right? So this is getting you internal rotation of this hip. So sending your breath where you want where you need it, right? So inhale, exhale, all the air out. Where you want that expansion is in that back pocket there. So that could be a new breathing strategy for you. And then Sarah, probably for you, and I want to actually try this with you guys once we assign them. For you, I would suggest you just need IR in general. So probably you need IR and I think this is what I would have you do instead of demonstrating it, though. I'm just going to pull up the video of me doing it because it'll take me longer to set up me doing it. So I would have you do something like this for yours. Come on. Share this screen. So stopping at mid-range in this. So it says Zercher squat. My arms are pulled forward, my shoulders protracted to get that expansion along the whole backside. I'm in mid-range of my squat with my heels elevated. I'm squeezing a block. So using this and staying nice and stacked as much as you possibly can, and then doing that same breathing here. So exhale all the air out. Hold some of that tension in the core. Inhale, expand into those back pockets. Feel expansion all along your backside. And I still like that standing lat stretch for you if it's been helping too.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. If you guys want to, I know Nana, you're in the middle of like doing a bunch of stuff, so you don't have time to do it now. I'd like you to try it at some point, but I want you to do your, if you can, and if you want to do it right now. So 3 assessments. I'll put them up on the screen. So the toe touch. Oh my goodness, share screen. Where is it? So I'm going to do a toe touch to squat, and the ER and IR. And if you're watching the replay, just kind of video yourself doing these 3 things before you do the strategy. So ER, IR, toe touch, and toe touch to squat. And then, well, if you're full on the toe touch and toe touch to squat already, you don't necessarily need to do those because we're not going to gain anything for those. And then the ER and IR, most of you need more IR, but let's just see where you are and then see where you are after trying one of these strategies. So,
Move you.
I wish I could see you guys bigger while I was sharing my screen. I think I might be able to. Hold on. Like this. So, gallery.
I'm gonna need a band, right?
Oh yes, you are going to need band.
So let me put you somewhere where you would be able to see that.
I'm trying to figure out, well, okay, you know the 3 things you need to do right now. I can say them because I can't share my screen and see you guys at the same time. Big enough. All right,
Allison, is
so-
there a limit on the front foot elevation? Is it like 90 or less, or like what's the
I would do something where you at the top even of the split squat, you're still in that, almost already in that mid-range of hip flexion. So see how my foot's elevated and I'm already sort of in that mid-range of hip flexion.
Yeah.
Before I go down, and then you're not going down like crazy far to get to
Okay.
90 here. Yeah, that'll work. Well, actually, that might be a little bit too high because you're already at 90.
I don't have anything lower than that.
A couple of books or a yoga block even.
Okay, yeah, I have a yoga block. I can do that.
I see you, Sarah. You're full.
Can I ask you about this internal rotation, external?
Yeah.
rotation? Okay, so when I do it, I'm gonna go down here. Is it best if you're at the head, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm supposed to hold my femur.
Sure.
Can you see this? Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm supposed to hold my femur, right? Like straight up.
Down. Mhm.
Okay. And then try to move my leg. Like, that's right.
Yep.
Okay.
Is that as far as you can go though?
Yes.
Give yourself a little bit more freedom in moving your femur.
Okay.
Like it can rotate, but I don't want. So when I say don't move your femur, I mean don't do.
This.
Yeah, like don't completely drop it out to the side like that, but you can like, it'll turn,
Okay.
but it just don't like let it cross your body or fall out to the side.
Okay. So then I can do like this.
Okay. And then,
this.
so you have
Hmm.
quite a bit of internal rotation on your right side. What about your left? Okay. You have you need external rotation.
Oh, dang it. Internal rotation.
Okay, so I will have you then.
It does feel harder to externally rotate.
With that's internally rotate. Your foot going out is
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
okay, but that, yeah, you don't have as much range in external rotation as I would have expected for your toe touch.
Hmm.
I'm going to give you a different breathing strategy. But Deanna, did you try the toe touch and toe touch to squat yet
Oh,
to see
no,
where you stood?
I was just waiting. I didn't know.
Okay. No, you don't. It's okay. I just want to see. So your toe touch and then your toe touch to squat.
And when you say tension, I mean, my hamstring pulls, but I can do it. I don't have to
Yeah.
that's fine, right?
Yeah. But then you get stuck in your rotation. Okay. So now what I want you to do is that front foot elevated split squat. And then so sink down until that front leg is, now like square your hips more, not so that you're shifting back into that hip of the foot. Yeah, like that.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then just breathe for like 5 breaths.
5 breaths there and really focus on holding the tension in the core that you created on that exhale, on the following inhale, and breathing into the back pocket of that front leg. Okay, Sarah, I don't know where you went, but. And do 2 sets of 5 breaths. on each side. Now shift back into that right hip just a little bit. Yeah. Where she went. All right. Do you have one of these, Sarah?
Oh, yes.
Sarah.
Oh, sorry, Deanna. I was talking to Sarah. You have one of these you can
Yes,
get?
let me get it.
Deanna, what's your foot up on?
A
Is it
block, a yoga block.
Can you, for the next set, slide it back so that you can rest that back heel on the wall to give you just another point of reference? I think that will make it more effective.
I can breathe. When I breathe, when my left foot is forward, I can breathe into that left pocket pretty good. Like I can feel it, but it's really hard to get reference back here on my right.
See if
Like,
using
get
that-
into the right hip more.
yeah, and also see if putting that left foot on the wall when you're doing it is helpful. And then yeah, if you just make sure that you are, when you're coming down, that hip is shifting back. So you can even reach the opposite arm forward to give you a little bit of like turn into that hip. All right, Sarah, this is what I'm gonna have you do for your breathing pattern instead. You might want to elevate your heels. I'm actually gonna have you do booty band. And then you'll probably want something to hold on to as well. Eventually, we can make this searcher and get you the upper body too, but for now, let's just focus on the lower body. You know what I mean when I say make it searcher? With the band around your forearm?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm essentially gonna have you do exactly what was in that Instagram post, but with the band around your knees, so that the bottom, you're driving into the band, and then exhaling, come back up to mid-range. Inhale, drive into the band, exhale, mid-range. So, and I want you to, if you need the mat to stay, like heels elevated to stay stacked, you can do that too. Okay, Deanna, see if you can drop that right hip a little bit. Yeah.
So Allison, when I'm like that, my chest feels like I'm aiming over right, not straight. Is that correct?
That's okay. Yeah, if you rotate towards that front leg a little bit, that's fine. As long as when you rotate, you're not crunching down into that right side. So stay long in the torso, and then you can rotate. Drop that right hip a little bit more. Again, yeah. It came up. So I think that's going to be the key on your right side, is making sure that hip doesn't hike up as you do it. How'd that feel, Sarah?
Feels challenging, but good.
Okay, because this is a movement, go for like 5 to 8 reps, and then with your breath, and then take a rest, and we'll do one more. Okay, Deanna, try the toe touch to squat again. Yeah, got a little bit more range You feel,
Maybe.
yeah, you definitely did. It's still sticking a little bit there, but I think that is a good place to start. And I think that's just a good running based warm up in general, like getting internal rotation.
You're supposed to be able to squat like this, touching your toes.
All the way down, eventually, yeah. That will be, so being able to squat all the way down while you're touching your toes, I can't do it either, but it shows you have the full ability to rotate in your hips. So if you're getting stuck in that mid-range, that means you don't have the internal rotation to make it past that part. Because the femur goes, not the femur, the pelvis. At the top of the squat, it's more like this. It has to go through internal rotation in the middle, and then it opens back up into external rotation at the bottom. So that's why people who need internal rotation, I'm telling them to stay in that mid-range of squat, because that pushes you into this range a little bit. But if you don't own that range, when you have a extra constraint of holding on, like another, like a closed loop, it's, I mean, I don't have it either. I can't get through. But if I do my positional breathing, eventually I can get there. But the goal is not necessarily to be able to squat like that. The goal is to use that squat as a way of measuring your ability to rotate. But you could also look at laying on your back and more specifically doing the internal and external rotation. And you can kind of do that on another time if you're interested too. Just like do that, see where you lie, do a couple of sets of the breathing, and then do it again, and to see what helps. But I would think that this front foot elevated split squat is probably the best place for you to go, because anything single leg is going to give you more ability to move within the pelvis. Did you do 1 or 2 sets so far, Sarah?
2.
2? You want to try the ERIR again?
Sure.
Let me think. See if there's another strategy. That's still as far as you can go on external rotation.
I feel like I can go a little further.
I think it's a little better. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's better. And you
Yeah.
got a little bit more of both. Let me see the left. Oh yeah.
I feel like I can heal the joint or the
Oh,
bone
yeah.
movement in the socket.
You have a lot more movement in both after that. So
Yeah.
that would be a good warm up for you in place of. So the only thing is, were you excessive on your toe touch? Like, can you palm the floor?
Let me see. Almost.
Almost. Okay. So I think, so you were doing 9. Were you doing 90-90 as your breathing strategy?
No, I do this one, the rock back.
Okay. So you also will need to make sure that you get hamstrings. So I'm trying to think of the best way to get you hamstrings without making you do a bunch of things. So giving you hamstrings will help the orientation of your pelvis.
Yeah.
To make what we just did more effective. So potentially doing just a set of the 90-90 first, just to like
Okay.
feel them, especially those proximal hamstrings. So doing the 90-90 with your either feet up on a table or on a wall, and then just focusing on feeling these hamstrings here and getting them to work before you move, and then doing that breathing strategy. And that can replace, if you do that, what we just did, but with your arms in a Zercher hold,
Mm-hmm.
that will give you the like whole back body. It essentially accomplishes the same thing as getting into that rock back and pushing through the floor, right?
Okay.
Like we talked about last week. So, I mean, you can still do rock back when
Okay.
it feels good to do, but if you're looking for a more active one, I'd like to use the more active ones, especially before going for a run. And I think I've said this before, like, and that's why I gave you just the bear to down dog in the run warm up. Like, you can use this to replace whatever one we just picked, to replace the bear to down dog, or to do right after it. Or, I mean, I just like the bear to down dog, but I don't do quite as many breaths, just because it feels good to me
Okay.
in terms of using this higher level breathing. And then, yeah, if you want to completely replace whatever like lower level breathing one you were doing with this higher level breathing, sometimes you totally can. And then maybe finish the workout with a lower level, like reset and breathe.
Okay.
But yeah, does that make sense? Any questions?
Is there a way to like or wake up your hamstrings? Like the 90-90 is so effective because I'm like, oh, there's my hamstrings. Is there a way to do that when you're standing at all?
Yes. So if you go back to what week was it? Week 5, we did that whole workout together. There are a bunch of strategies in there for finding your hamstrings.
Okay.
And like, not the thing about it is like some work for some people and some don't, but standing ones we
Oh,
did.
that's right. Yeah.
Like inhale onto your toes, exhale onto your heels. Inhale onto your toes, exhale onto your heels. I find that it's helpful to do this one leg at a time to help find your hamstrings.
Okay.
And then there's also in this position,
Yeah.
inhale onto your toe, exhale onto your heel. So getting
Okay.
into standing toe rocks are a good way. Yeah, so you could even do this to find your hamstrings, and that will give you a little bit of internal rotation. And then, or potentially with the, I don't have a towel on me right now, but with the towel position, like a core,
Yeah.
that might be a good one for you.
I forgot about those, but yes, I remember now.
Yeah, so you need hamstrings, and then you actually need external rotation. So staying in that like the lower range of the squat, relaxing your pelvic floor. It's interesting because I think way back at the beginning, and I maybe led you astray for a little while because you said that you thought that you did, but then you're narrow. So we went down a path to get you IR, and maybe we got you some, but we need to come back and get you some more external rotation now too. Are you, can I see your infrasternal angle? Just
Yes.
curiosity.
Well, what I had that weird like in between Z's. Wait, sorry, that's not a good angle. Is that? Can you see it?
Mm-hmm. So dig your fingers up in there.
So hard to dig my fingers into this.
Yeah, you are still quite narrow, but you're interesting. And of course, having babies messes all of that up.
Right.
Anyway, so it kind of clouds the results in terms of the connection between here and here, because there was a whole human.
Right. All of that has shifted so much so quickly over. I mean, I'm still only 7 months postpartum. So
Yeah.
all of that is really shifting rapidly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would still do the ha breath.
Okay.
Because you are narrow up here. We don't want to do like the like super blow, because that will get you external and bring you in even more, and where it's already hard for you to do this, we want to do the ha will get you more lower abs first. And so that still is an important thing for you. So yeah, putting all the pieces together, which we will do kind of next week as well, but because I know that it's been a lot, but now you at least kind of know for squats, hinges, upper body, like breathing strategies, and then we'll kind of put it all together next week in terms of like, how do you put together a workout using all of these things? What pieces, like tying it back to the beginning, like why we're reminding you why we're doing all the different parts and where to put all the different parts into the different workouts, and review some of the running stuff, also running plan stuff from the beginning. And then if there are any like outstanding questions, put them in the group and I'll make sure I include that in that presentation too. Are there any more questions about like this stuff specifically? Okay, I'm making a note. I did not have that whole breathing ab thing in next week's presentation. Or make sure to circle back to that. So we've covered a lot.
Allison, for next week too, we don't have to talk about this now, but can you also include like strategies for like as you like time, like as you get faster, or if your time goal maybe decreases, so like maybe you're like still gonna only train for a 5K or 10K, but like as you are dropping, or when you have different targets, can you address that?
Right, yeah, I'm gonna go through all the stuff, resources that they're all the resources for that are technically back in the week 2 resources, but at the same, we didn't really use them. I just said like, this is what I used to create your plan. Here, it's all here. Next week, I do plan to like open up the spreadsheet and show you how to use it and where the paces come from and that kind of thing. So yeah, I definitely will do that.
I have like sorry, Deanna, I have like I was coming back to after that injury, like I was doing the shorter intervals, Allison.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm back up to, I've done 2 minutes of running to 1 minute of walking twice now.
Okay.
And I would say like, there's no change in my pain. So can I go ahead and resume where I was, which was like 3 minutes of running to 1 minute of walking for 3 miles?
Yeah, where is your pain now? Was it SI? It's still.
I don't have SI pain really anymore. It's really more that left lateral.
Okay.
That pain, that upper mid back pain is like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say to do the breathing strategy that we just talked about before and after.
Okay.
Okay, I forgot because I've given you a bunch of breathing strategies. We can narrow it down to like, so you're not doing a million different things. But before, for the run, I want you to do that left lat hip shift one, because that's where you're feeling that pain to like release it. And then the one that we just did.
Yes.
And then do another set of that, especially the lat releasing at the end.
Okay.
And see how that feels.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely do that. I don't know if that pain is ever going to go away until I stop. I think when I stop pumping and breastfeeding.
Yeah.
When I'm not constantly having to counteract like this.
Yeah.
I think it's not going to go
and
away.
Hold that left side.
Yeah.
That's a lot from holding the baby on your left side as well.
Yeah.
Just something to be conscious of. Well, makes you feel any better. I sneezed yesterday and like hurt my back.
No.
It feels fine today, but it was like, see, I was gonna do them, and I was like psyching myself to do the Murph this year. I do it with lots of adaptations, but I was gonna do it, and then I like sneeze, and for some reason I never hold in sneezes, but I just like there was no reason for me to hold in, but I held it in, and like my whole upper back seized up. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" But
That's so stupid.
yeah, but the thing is, I knew, okay, so I know my upper back is seized up. what are my strategies for,
Yeah.
and then so I did some rock back breathing and some like before my workout today at the gym, I did Zercher split squats to really like open up and relax that part, and it feels mostly fine now. But so you can remember, even if you haven't used these strategies in years, a couple years from now, remember they're still there for whenever like you hold in the
Right.
sneeze and I don't know. I'm like, are you kidding me? I did not do the Murph because I sneezed wrong.
Ridiculous, man. Ridiculous. Yeah. Okay.
But that's just an example of
How do you do 100 pull-ups?
it's assisted
Yeah, but how?
with the like band around my feet and not straight. I'll do like, I do 5, 10, and 15, 5 pull-ups, 5, 10 push-ups, 15 squats, and then I do that 20 times. But I don't, they're not full pull-ups. And honestly, probably I was going to end up doing lat pull downs for most of them. I used to be able to do them with pull-ups, but I need to get back there.
That's gonna be our next class. How to
So
do
what,
a Murph.
so the pull-ups, so funny that you said that. 2 things. First of all, pull-ups, the best way to get a pull-up is to, and push-ups too, if you really want to be able to do like full proper pull-ups and push-ups, start with eccentric or negative versions. So climb up to the top and lower yourself down as slow as you possibly can. So eccentrically loading a muscle is the fastest way to build strength in that muscle. So doing eccentric pull-ups and then eventually building in some true pull-ups and then finishing every workout with more eccentric or negative pull-ups is the fastest way to build it. But I do have a friend who is a trainer and she runs, but she's also, actually she's the one who posted that rear foot elevated split squat awesome cueing video that I'm going to tag you in, Sarah. But she trains climbers specifically. She runs, but she does trail races and stuff, but she trains climbers. I want to see if she'll do a presentation for the membership or mentorship next time, and then I'll share that with you guys. But I think that would be cool to get that, like, she just, I mean, she can do pull-ups like crazy, but she also speaks the same language of orientation and external rotation, she like knows all that stuff. So I think that would be a good one to have. I want to see if someday she'll help me create a Spartan race training program course or something like that together, but that's a long way away.
My goal was to do a pull up, so I've got myself to 1 pull up. I can't go back up. I can go up once and then come back down.
So do some with the eccentric.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks and it'll happen quickly with those. So you just
I'll work on, yeah.
Get a chair and climb up and lower down as slow as you possibly can. And same thing with push-ups. If you're looking to get full, normal push-ups from the ground, same thing. Push yourself up, go to your knees, push yourself up as in any way you need, reset and go down as slow as you possibly can. That's a good way to do it.
Noted.
Yeah. But it's interesting that's something that's interesting, because I've said this every week and I still don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but I am planning on doing some sort of continuing membership with just monthly workout plans and access to the additional calls, guest speakers and stuff like that. So I'll let you know what I decide on officially. I'm just trying to figure out a way that is the most useful for you guys, but because I've created memberships in the past where I feel like I was doing more work than people were actually using the work that I was putting into it.
Yeah.
So I just want to make it what you're actually going to do and use versus just not extra work for me.
Yeah.
But I think it would be like workouts, right? Because you would want those, and then guest speakers, and then maybe a call. I mean, I was thinking about running plans, but that's so individual.
Yeah. I don't
You
know, a
guys
lot of work for you, right?
Yeah, and you have all the templates. I've seen it done like as a run club where there's like track Tuesdays or something like that, or track workout of the week, and there's two options if you're training for something like lower mileage or versus training for something higher mileage, and I might do something like that. I don't know. I have a tendency to want to like do all the things. What
Yes.
things do they all really just need?
Yeah.
So if you guys have any like insight into that, if you want to send me a message or like, this is what I would like, if you're interested in continuing the membership, let me know, because I want to do something. I
think having like, I love our workouts, like the workouts I mean, so something that was unique every week, and would maybe just like you said, like one target workout, like here's your target workout for the week, and then like the track idea is kind of fun to just have one day, like, because it will be prohibitive to like the program was great, but it's like a lot. I'm like, oh, this is it's just like a lot, but just like one workout a week, one track thing a week, and then access to like little special things like, hey, let me teach you how to do a pull-up, hey, or some I mean, like little things like that.
That's a good idea too.
That would be interesting to me at a cost that's not prohibitive to do.
Okay.
Yeah. And I feel like I like it when I see videos of you doing stuff and you talk through it.
Mm-hmm.
So like you have like, I don't know if this is stupid, but like a move of the week or like a exercise of the week, and you had a video about it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I would definitely pay. Like I would be like, yes, that's very useful to me.
Okay.
Especially because I don't have, but
like
I
really
don't,
just taking one exercise and breaking it down.
Yeah.
In addition to just having like a set.
Yeah. I feel like there's some overlap between that and like what you're probably doing on Instagram, like I'm sure you're doing some of that on Instagram, but
I mean, I could share it in both places too, even, or I guess I would, but I would pick something.
Instagram, give the Instagram people a little preview, but they don't get the full thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't, as I was about to say, like, I'm not going to have you guys pay for something and then give this.
And then be like, here it is on Instagram.
But yeah, I can do like a teaser of it on Instagram. Yeah, I think what it probably will be like a Facebook group, strength workouts, maybe like, one run, and having continuous, we'll have access to what's in the membership, but having continual access to like anything I add or new change. So I do plan on adding in for the next round something about optimizing your training with your cycle. So I think that would be useful I don't know if you have your cycle back yet, Sarah, but for when you do, I think the more I learn about it, the more I'm like, oh, this is so interesting. But I haven't had a chance to really experiment with it myself because I just got mine back.
Yeah.
So
I have an IUD too, so I don't know if I'm ever gonna see that thing again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll be like, maybe I'm having my period right now, and that's why I feel this way.
Yeah. That's what it was before I got mine. I was like, I was in the worst mood all week long, just raging mean. And then I finally, because I didn't know I was about to get it, and I got it. I was like, oh, that explains it. Why I was just mean to everybody all week.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. I will let you guys know what I like officially decide on. It'll be like a low price point, like $25-ish a month is what I'm thinking, because I want to make it like not cost prohibitive, and then eventually as I continue to run the membership, the mentorship, I'm not going to call it membership because that will be confusing with mentorship and membership. I think I'm going to call it Run Club. I don't know.
I like that. I like
I can see myself saying membership and mentorship. have to be specific. But I'll let you know what I decide, like officially. We probably wouldn't start it officially until July. So, because I am, as soon as we're done with this, I am traveling for family vacation for the last bit of June. But
That wouldn't be too long to go without something.
I mean, you guys have a bunch of workouts
Yeah.
ready to
Plenty of
do.
between now and then. Yeah.
But all right. Well, I will see you all next week. I will try not to make that one super long, but it's probably going to be longer in terms of content than we have been in the past couple of weeks. And that's another thing I need to rethink when I do it the next time, to kind of spread the longness out, but also keeping consistent themes. But yeah, putting it out, I've been making the presentation like, oh wow, we covered a lot. Like, I want to summarize everything, but and also
It's a long time.
mhm.
Yeah. It's been great. But that's good to know. I'll make sure I have more time space.
Yeah, we'll probably go to 1:30 next week.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, Allison.
Bye.
Sarah.